YouTube, how the heck you doing? This is Corey here with Watcher Realms. We are back with another Guild v Guild video. Okay, just real quick, a couple of things have changed. I left Celestials, I joined the Shire beat Mad, so I moved over, okay? Anyways, we have the final faction that we're going against. It was a interesting match because obviously whenever it comes to Gladiator Gauntlet, it's really big disparity as to the strongest guilds going against the lower seeded guilds, and then it kind of filters out to become like really good matches. But obviously the first two rounds aren't really insane. The last one we went ahead against a guild, we got them to like 5% and they took 0.08 off of us, or like 0.8 off of us, so it wasn't a fair match. So apologies to them. It sucks. I wish they would kind of change the system a little bit because it's not really that fair, but we have some attacks to go through, so let's go ahead and just get into it. So this is going to be a pretty standard Nightmare comp, at least one of the Nightmare comps that we're seeing in the Gladiator Gauntlet. They're running that Torador, Hotsit, Arrogance, Wukong, Ezreal. Now, one of the things that's a little bit tricky, and I'm not going to go ahead and necessarily teach too much because obviously we want to go ahead and try to beat Mad this time. It'd be cool to see if we can do it. But basically, whenever you have this team composition, Arrogance is not really hitting anything unless he's in his ult, right? So that gives us a lot of clearance to go ahead and pretty much do whatever we really want. So what I'm doing here is I'm dropping the epic flyers here, mainly because I want to go ahead and proc Hotsit ult, and I'm not going to go ahead and get hit by Arrogance really that much, at least based off the timing. Then the next thing I do is drop the double lightning guards, and this is all intentional because you're going to see a really interesting mechanic that I've talked about a decent amount of times occur. So Hotsit has ulted and Arrogance is no longer an ult, so these lightning guards are pretty much under no pressure from anti-air damage. So Arrogance and then Hotsit really shouldn't deal too much. What happens is the lightning guards are going to start hitting the Torador here, right? And they're hitting him just enough to where Ezreal can't go ahead and rejuvenate him, and Torador goes, how the heck you doing? Right now, Smile One is going ahead and offering some really good top-up rewards if you go ahead and choose to get W Gold through their website. The deal is going from June 12th to June 22nd, and I do have a link in the description below. Now, if you're trying to go ahead and get some W Gold, you will get some really good things like rare summoning crystals, auto battles, stamina, and at some of the high-end things, you're even getting some divine summoning crystals, you're getting diamonds, you're getting skill crystals, and you are getting some W gold back at some of those higher tiers as well. So if you're interested in stacking up as many resources as you can for the upcoming anniversary, or if you're just stacking up just for your own personal need in case you get to 30 stamina and you want to go get the Eloin pack, go ahead, right? Use the link in the description below. See ya. Down. This is the most important part about this entire run. So Arrogance doesn't have ult yet, Hotsit doesn't have ult yet, and Torador is down. Torador, when he's down, revives. Every other unit that is a tank that has a revive mechanic actually becomes invulnerable, right? So think of your Brokir, think of your Malvira, think of your... who else? Your Regulus. They become, even Baron becomes invulnerable to damage. Because Torador goes down, this is what happens next. The Lightning Guards hit Wukong, just knock him out of his boots. And then they go ahead and hit Arrogance. And what's going to happen is they're going to start retargeting onto the Torador here. And they're going to get past just enough here to go ahead and hit Hotsit as well. And because of all that, it's a pretty easy win because we're able to go ahead and just do whatever we really want at this point. So we dropped the epic flyers, we dropped some necros. I think I even go ahead and drop the dogs just for fun. And then this run is pretty much over, right? Pretty simple win. It really just comes down to abusing that mechanic of how Torador works when it comes with his revive. Which is so funny that he's a revive tank, but his revive can be used against him whenever you're going against like a Nightmare team. Then the next team that we go ahead up against is a chaotic team. Now this is a chaotic team with Valdron as Lord, which I don't necessarily like, mainly because, truth be told, Gon is the better Lord when it comes to chaotic units. So that's a little bit interesting of a choice, but it is what it is. The next thing that we do here is we go ahead and drop the rare bugs, and the rare bugs, their entire job is to go ahead and force the Saryak ultimate, right? Pretty simple, nothing crazy at this point. Then after that, you can honestly drop any unit. You can even drop a tank if you want. And this is the next thing that I do. This is pretty standard as well. You go ahead and shroud your flyers with rare flyers. The reason being is because marksman will typically go ahead and attack the lowest defense / HP unit, which in this case is always going to be those rare bugs. And there we go, right? We have our epic flyers kind of starting to run through here, and they're pretty much covered because Sargak is still hitting those flyers. At this point, it's a GG, right? All these units are just going to fly over, no issue. There really isn't much to it. Once you go ahead and bait out the Sargak ult with this team, because there's such little CC and anti-air damage, it's pretty easy. If there's like a Greed there, a Theoin, or any Amari, for example, just a unit that provides CC, it would be a way different strategy. But because we're looking at just Sargak, it's not that bad, right? And then we have this team here, which is another Nightmare team. This is a little bit decent in terms of BP strength, is 5.18. But what we do is we just kind of run it down. We just go ahead, drop the tank, I believe. There we go. And then I drop a full? No, I don't. I'm pretty sure I just go do double Shadow Keepers. So once we go ahead and drop the tank here, we have procced out Arrogance ult. We're looking really good. And based on the timing, we're really good to just drop the Shadow Keepers and then a healer. One of the things that I love to do is just kind of stack them up on top of each other, because it's 8 costs to drop the double Shadow Keepers, and then you get 3 costs for the healer. It's pretty much perfect in terms of timing, because you always get that final cost to just stack them on top. At this point, we are going ahead and focusing on really just chunking out Torador, which we go ahead and do. He does go ahead and die, and so our units are starting to push through here. And the next thing that we're really looking for is we're trying to go ahead and kill Torador again, but it doesn't necessarily look like that happens because he has A5 Torador. So Torador goes down twice in this particular setting, and then he dies a final time, and that's where we're able to just start pushing through relatively easily. But we also had the ability, because Torador died, we could drop another dog. It was a pretty safe run, all things considered. It's just a little bit funny because it's an A5 Torador. Did not expect that, right? At least not for the round of 128. I'm not expecting an A5 Torador. But we took the dub. Pretty simple. You just go ahead and kill the Torador. Especially because whenever you go ahead and pair Torador with Ezreal, you kind of have like some anti-synergy, because Torador in general gets less healing because he's a Nightmare unit, and Ezreal's whole thing is super healing, right? So if you're kind of counteracting that, it gets a little bit tricky for you. That's why like Lily, for example, is so good, because she actually has a full-on revive mechanic, or Carnelian, because Carnelian also has a full-on revive mechanic. That's why you see like Torador doing really well with those teams. Now this is a shield dance strategy. I have made a video on how to go ahead and properly shield dance. It is a very common strategy that you can see. It's not really the best, because it really does depend on your timings, and there are some strategies or some team compositions in which shield dancing just really does not work at all, truth be told. And the main reason why this even works is just because it's the Ajax and it's the Volca. There's just so much different levels of anti-synergy kind of happening. Not anti-synergy, but like ineffectiveness like happening with this team in particular. Because Ajax is good as a unit, but he's not really the best. And so he does AoE damage, but it's so easy to go ahead and swarm him, especially with a long map like this, where we can stack up all our units. It's a pretty seamless transition into going ahead and winning. So that's all there really is to it. This is a pretty simple round of 128. After this, we get to the round of 64, which things should get a little bit interesting, because you start to include some of those like top 30 guilds that barely missed out on Overlord in it. So we'll see how that goes, but that's all there is to it. See ya.